Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining our webinar today. My name is Lisa Lopez. I'm the Content Marketing Manager at NuORDER. For those of you who aren't familiar with NuORDER, we are a B2B e-commerce solution that is built for both brands and retailers to buy and sell digitally. Today, we'll be discussing how to maximize holiday and New Year sales. Just as a reminder to everyone, we'll conduct a Q&A at the end of the session. So if you do have any questions throughout the webinar, just make sure to drop them in the chat box, or we also have the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So today we are joined by Jess Chan. She has 9 years of experience working at NuORDER as the Director of Client Services. And then we have Ben Berenholz. Ben is responsible for marketing and demand generation at Quivers. He's a top brand builder with expertise in building new categories in B2B. He develops and executes strategic activities across the marketing mix, including media relations, partnerships, and brand development, all to educate companies about the Quivers distributed order fulfillment platform. So with those introductions, I'll hand things over to Jess to go over today's topic.
Great. Thank you so much, Lisa. Okay, so for the agenda today, we'll be starting with addressing supply chain disruptions, followed by talking about why connected commerce is essential. And then we'll segue into enabling fast fulfillment, as well as ways to mitigate this loss. And then we'll end with strategies for inventory optimization. So to get started, addressing the supply chain disruptions. As we all know, there's a global situation with supply chain. Factories are having trouble with production, as well as staffing. All of the ports are completely inundated with ships. And so we have a shortage of products and an issue with getting products to the retailers on time. State of the market. Retail sales are on the rise. Consumers are fueled by stimulus checks and they're geared up for the holidays. They're ready to spend, they have disposable income, and demand has actually increased and has returned to pre-pandemic levels. So retailers have the engagement that they've been waiting for, the engagement that they need. But what they don't have is the reliable stock and the reliable on-order products to fuel all of this demand. And then where we are with that, holiday sales are threatened, right? Because the demand is there, but the supply is not. Stock feeds sales, so retailers need more stock to satisfy the consumer. And there's a major issue, obviously, due to all of these different material shortages, factory closures, port congestion. Products are coming to market slower than ever with very unpredictable timing. And this means missing cancel dates, thus canceling orders, lost dollars, leaving dollars on the table. And then we leave the retailer with low inventory levels and the need for immediate fulfillment to keep their customers engaged, and most importantly, to keep the customer satisfied, because that's when they're going to return. And the statistics show the consumer is ready, right? So there's a Kpmg consumer pulse survey that was released that listed the below following metrics that I think are really important and impactful. So 32% plan to shop in person on Black Friday this year. That's compared to 16% last year. That's double. Not only that, 60% of holiday shopping is still expected to be online, marking an 8% increase over 2020, which was already high. And then coupled with that, 50% of respondents expressed concern about shortages in stores and shipping delays. And to prepare for out of stock, 61% of respondents said they plan to start shopping for the holidays in October. And that just means the problem's already begun, right? And if the problem has begun, it's snowballing. So how do we address that, right? The retailers are going to do whatever they can to fill their shelves and to keep the consumer happy and have them walking away with a purchase.
Just one little anecdote here that I think adds a wrinkle into this ongoing problem. From some of the brands and retailers we've been talking to, it sounds like based on some of this early data, the retailers actually took a rather optimistic stocking position, or a number of them, at least in the winter sports and some of the ones we've spoken to. So they, based on this expectation that some of the retail go up. While they haven't received that stock, I think they actually took a pretty significant position during the buying process. So, without a very late season comeback, when the stock does arrive, when it's finally here, that will create additional problems as well.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I think that's a great segue. Connected commerce, right? It's essential now. With all of these issues, connected commerce is more important than ever. And it's being able to be digitally connected with real-time information in the moment. And that's crucial to stay afloat. And although, working for NuORDER, we've been saying this for years, you need a B2B. B2B will help you drive sales. They'll help you be more efficient. All of that's been true. But now it's truly a mission critical time to adopt a solution that can make you accessible 24/7, that can take your product information and compare it back to selling tools and real-time inventory levels and add admin efficiencies, because without these tools, you're going to have a really hard time keeping up, right? You'll be inundated in admin communication work. Your reps won't know what they can sell. They won't know what they can't sell, without a lot of manual work to go into that on a daily basis. And the retailer that has immediate needs, right, because of all this demand and all this low stock, will follow the path of least resistance to place the orders and fill immediate stock positions. They'll buy from someone that has their info front and center and easy to purchase any time of the day. And they are turning to B2Bs to help see, changing catalogs and see what they can get now. So you don't want to be trailing behind your competition in terms of accessibility, right? You want to be in the front and easy to find and easy to shop. And a tool like NuORDER will not only allow you to see, what you own and how much you own, and as that changes from hour to hour, it's also a great proactive selling tool, right? You'll be able to bulk communicate and campaign to drive sales. You'll also see the data behind your campaigning and understand what types of communication are working for your brand and what types are not. And you'll be able to stay thus, on top of your business and then top of mind with all of your retailers, and that is key. So now, enabling fast fulfillment. How can brands use technology to navigate the supply chain issues at hand? Firstly, the communication aspect of all this will be a nightmare, like we just talked about, right? You'll need to cancel orders. You have to analyze ship dates, see what's hit the warehouse, as well as be able to see, the constant changing date as, for what's about to hit the warehouse. And NuORDER can connect that data to you and provide you tools to analyze it, to use it, and then to communicate with it. And then obviously that drives sales and can help reallocate all of those sales accordingly. So for example, although many products are not going to hit the warehouse or extremely late, and fulfillment of current orders will be an issue, some products will be hitting the warehouse, some on time, some also late. As Ben spoke, that pipeline will be backed up. But many times the retailer will still take the product, especially when they're in this position right now, as long as they can see it's running a week or two late or understand when it's coming. Or maybe they'll even wait for the product and buy more in the meantime, right? To plan ahead because they can see what you have in stock right now, maybe in a similar product or in another colorway. And either way, they just need the communication and the information to buy. It's also important to remember that, not all is lost if you can't fulfill a previously placed pre-book order right now. And that's because the demand on the consumer side and the retailer side is actually, it's there and is thriving, right? We looked at those statistics. The consumer is looking to buy, and the stats are there to prove it. And as long as they're buying, that means the retailer has money to spend. So it's about being able to connect with them, show them what you do have, and book new orders with new retailers that are desperate, right? And now, mitigating the loss, right? Because there will be some loss. So mitigating that loss and reallocating stock and shifting open to buy dollars is crucial now. And we can help with that. For example, if you have inventory loaded into the system and you can see, when your stock's arriving and when you can see that day change, or if the retailer, if you're the retailer, you can see a product that did really well and see that inventory won't come for a month, but wait, the brand has it in another colorway. The stock is available right now in that colorway, you can react. Or flip it to the brand side. They know that they have a shipment, or they got a shipment into the warehouse and it's very late. And so they have a bunch of canceled orders, meaning now they're sitting on inventory that they need to sell through. They can leverage NuORDER. They can use it to put together different types of ATS campaigns, create bestseller campaigns, refocus the retailer through all of these visual tools and communication tools to send, even digital order forms, and all of that will drive sales and help you reallocate to sell through what you own. But without a digital tool, I know that you can still log into your ERP and see this data real time. You can, but that's siloed, right? That's offline. And you can't communicate efficiently and put together campaigns and track them all in one place. Your retailers can't log into your ERP and place reorders based on what you have on let's say, a Saturday afternoon, right, when the office is closed. So you'll be forced to communicate if you don't have a tool all offline, which is inefficient, it's timely, and time is of the essence, especially at the holidays. That's something really important to remember. The early bird will get the worm with the retailers because they're faced with sky-high levels of demand. So they'll go wherever they have to fill it. And if you're easy to find and easy to shop, you can be a candidate to capture that immediate sale. So to sum it up, on the brand side, you will be receiving some goods. It's just maybe not in the timely manner that you expected, right? Some will be on time and some will not. So either way, you have to sell it. So for the goods that are left because of canceled orders, you can still sell this because the demand's there. You just need to communicate, right? And you need a tool to do that. And for the retailer, the retailer will be faced with empty shelves, but they will order what they can because the consumer will buy what they can. So maybe they'll take even their second or third choice because that stock is necessary. So showing them the full catalog is crucial. And then retailers, they have open to buy. That's so important to remember through all this. They will be short shipped by other vendors. It's inevitable. And they'll have consumers still walking into their doors ready to spend. So if they can be connected to what is available, right, at other brands and or different colorways or materials or similar products, they'll be placing more immediate orders than ever. And if you have a tool like NuORDER, you can showcase your products, right? You can market them, you can pitch them, and you can sell what you have today and also what you have coming. Ben, do you have anything you want to add to the mitigating loss?
No, I mean, I think I'll talk about it a little bit in the coming slides, but I think that's absolutely spot on. I mean, it's about being the whole, I mean, if I had to press anything on them as like a top level, message, it's about being nimble, right? And not getting caught up in any particular situation and being able to react to the situation and having your operations and your platforms, set up in a way that you can react accordingly.
Yep, completely. Okay.
There you go. Make your brand resilient. Yeah, that's the message. Yeah, shall I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So from Quiver's perspective, I think what we're looking at is even extending kind of inventory optimization, beyond what maybe brands and retailers typically think about, or certainly on the brand side in terms of your own inventory in your own warehouse or corporate stores or 3PL and whatnot. Our vision, right, is that the retail networks and the brands, they work together hand in hand in this connected commerce, in this collaborative way. And so I'm going to look at a couple of scenarios from, kind of scarcity to abundance. Some of the more traditional ones we'll look at there on the right, where there's a little bit more, inventory in place in certain places. If you're familiar with Quivers, we talk at times, when there's inventory out at the retail level, how you can leverage that for online sales, et cetera. But I want to start at the one because here on the left, because I think it's one, the scary one that we're facing today in a lot of ways that, unfortunately, this is where we see where the market is. And as we described, very articulately here in these, early part of the webinar, there's just a lot of stock, not out, at the brand or the retail level right now. And as we talked about, that kind of creates a bit of a pre-order scenario, right? So you're going to, still be needing, the demand is there. People do want to place these orders. And so both at the brand and retail level, you're going to be setting up to kind of, taking these orders, kind of meet this demand. I think one of the issues it really raises on the fulfillment side, because again, for us, the idea is connecting both the seller selling process, whether online or in store, with the fulfillment process, right? That these things shouldn't be a bit of a siloed operations. They need to go hand in hand. So as those, pre-order sales start to come through and back up, again, to look at everything in the most critical lens of all of the consumer experience, that raises the question of how on the fulfillment side then you're going to fill in a chronological manner. So if you want to look at a specific anecdote, we've talked to some brands and retailers, I just was saying before, where you've got these ports backed up and the inventory not coming in on the original buys. I know a lot of retailers have taken additional stock, and brands are actually air freighting stock out to some of their major retailers in various parts of the country, and that's going to get here before, it's going to create double inventory later, it's going to create a lot of issues. I think what online sales and your retail sales, like Orders does, that connects to online and say August, right? In a retail store 65, Sally's ski shop has an order come in later, here in November, and that, inventory ends up at that local retailer, it's not, and fulfills it with that consumer who just placed that pre-order, 2 weeks ago, versus the consumer who bought, placed an order on your website 3 months ago and is still waiting on it. It's just really not something you want to get into, right? You're going to erode your brand equity, brand loyalty no one wants to hear me say this, but can be cheap these days. If you have bad fulfillment or bad consumer experience, they will switch, and get from a provider who can provide a purchase experience and a fulfillment experience that meets their needs. We as brands don't like to hear that, but it's true. So you don't have a lot of fall room there, right? So those people, you need to get the inventory into their hands at the right manner. So I think, platforms like Quivers and what Jess was describing, with NuORDER, it's about that communication between all of these, right? Between the retail platforms, the POS, the inventory, what's going on with the B2B provider, where the inventory is at any particular time in the supply chain, the ERP, when those orders come in, and then how they get fulfilled out. So that way, if that stock does come to that retailer selling ski shop in New York, Quivers can automatically route that, ski out, and it's actually going to go out to the consumer in Oregon who placed that order on your website 3 months before. So while it is a little difficult in this Armageddon situation to talk about inventory optimization when there's not a lot of inventory to optimize, I think my main, point there, is that, you really need to make sure you're keeping track of the consumer experience and make sure your fulfillment process aligns, with the buying process, no matter where it takes place, online or offline. With that, let's hop over to retail heavy. And I won't take as long with these others because I think it's not exactly with what we're dealing with today. So I'm going to go through these a little quicker. Please, if anyone wants to go deeper on this, email me directly, contact, and I can answer deeper questions. These are a little bit more traditional. I think in scenario 2, it's still a little scarce. This is where you're having lower inventory on the brand side for various reasons. But a lot of times you do have stock that is out amongst your retail network. And I think this is something that we see that the brands don't take advantage of enough, right? And it's something that our customers or the strategy they're learning why they come to us is you have all this inventory out there, right? And you can actually use this to reduce things like out of stock on your website. Again, this is a really another nasty brand integrity issue. If you've got a lot of stock on your e-commerce site that is showing up as out of stock, right? Yeah, there's only so long that can go on before they're going to go to your neighboring website, your competitor's website, and purchase from them, right? Frankly. But a lot of times that stock is dispersed. We all know taking stocking positions is difficult, right? The forecasts are not perfect. So there might be that, small pink puffy jacket out there on the East Coast that, no one has bought and is not going to get sold, this season, but there's demand for it online and it could sell on your website. Again, with Quivers and distributed order fulfillment, we access and leverage all that inventory. You can show that in stock online. Right? The consumer doesn't even need to know where it's coming from. It's in stock, ready to sell. They complete the transaction on their on your brand website as normal. And boom, we just pull, the inventory off of that retailer shelf and it gets shipped out. They pick, pack it and ship it. The retailer does and ships it out to the consumer, and you split profit profits and margins that way, which if anyone's interested in that discussion, talk to me. We've got lots of information on how the brands and retailers split those margins. But so that it's a really distributed order fulfillment is a really effective way of starting to reduce those out of stocks online. We see customers do hundreds of thousands, putting sales back, winning sales that they would have lost otherwise, for having those things in stock. The next scenario is what I call regional gaps. So again, this is where, brands have some good inventory, retail stores, have good inventory. But again, expecting your entire retail network to take, perfect stocking positions is not realistic, right? I mean, having technology that can help you optimize that along the way. And again, if something sells at one retail store, I mean, it's a bit more of an edge case, but say a retailer sells something on their website that's in stock at another retailer, we can actually allow that, right? And allow you to retailer, A, to sell on their website that Patagonia or whatever product that is in a retailer shop down the way, and they can pick, pack it, and ship it on their behalf. And again, margins get split. It's a way of reducing, increasing turnover, increasing sell-through, and reducing buybacks, I think, at the end of the season. And then finally, the good and plenty, which is my favorite. So there's a lot of stock going on here, and what this really ends up being is optimization. You might think, well, how much inventory optimization do I need, when there's stock everywhere? And the reality is it's still a lot. This actually comes down, and if anyone wants to talk to you about it, we can go in depth, because this is a really, I think, a really key topic. But what we're seeing right now in the marketplace, we're talking here about specialty brands, specialty retail shops, specialty consumers. These are not commodities, right? These are not stocks. These are things that people have a lot of knowledge, a lot of R&D, and a lot of expertise in. When they buy these things, they have a very specific way they want to do it. They have brands in mind. We're seeing more and more consumers go to the brand website first. So actually go to the brand website and make purchases on there. But they also have a very strong preference. They also have a local retail affinity. So they have brand affinity and local retail affinity. It's just splitting down the path to purchase. So more and more with specialty goods, they're wanting to have in-store pickup experiences where they can buy from the brand directly, but then they like to be able to pick up in store for customizations, fittings, all the rest. And a lot of times, like, I should mention here, we've developed a co-product with NuORDER called Ship to Store. And what that allows is sometimes, even if a retail store doesn't have that particular inventory, you can still allow in-store pickup beyond the stocking position of the retailer because of that local affinity. So if I want to buy something from the brand, but I want to drop down and say, I want to pick Joe's ski shop down the street that I love so much and have it shipped there, even though they don't have it, through Quivers and NuORDER will ship that on behalf of that retailer, make that purchase. It shows up at the store at that retailer. I go pick it up the next day. I get it tuned. I get my bindings on, all the rest, right? I come back for repairs, et cetera. So we're really creating a world, that optimization, yes, inventory, but it's also just optimization of connected commerce, period. That the purchases can take place when and where the consumers want, and the inventory moves and goes wherever it wants with real-time data, with B2B data of where it is, with online data, with retail data. We have stocking positions, of the retailers through our POS sync capabilities. The fulfillment all happens, fluidly and dynamically. Like, that's the world there on the right in the good of plenty that I think we're all trying to go to. And it's less a dream world and like more and more of a reality, right? Like, we're really building these tools and have these, and some of our, best customers, us and NuORDER are doing this currently. So you can come see how it works, frankly. And that's the scarcity spectrum for inventory optimization.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so, yeah, I mean, the big takeaway with all of this is your commerce system needs to be flexible, resilient, and nimble, because everything will be changing, and it's about keeping up with those changes, communicating those changes, making yourself accessible to meet all of this demand that is real and that exists and that's out there right now. And time is of the essence. Everybody has a really now mentality of buying. They need it now. They want it now. And the retailers, need an answer to that. And so being able to communicate and have tools like Quivers and NuORDER to meet those needs and to collaborate with those needs will significantly help you in the coming months and beyond. Great. So Q&A, I'm going to go ahead and we have no questions. No questions, anybody. You're letting us off easy.
That cannot have been that well explained. Come on.
Yeah, no questions. Anybody?
No one even submitted a question asking when the inventory is getting here. That's the one we all want to know.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, oh, here we go. Can you further explain endless aisle? Can you explain that then?
I can, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mention that too much. Yeah, that is another capability. Again, with Quivers and NuORDER, we're trying to enable ways where the buying and selling can happen in various directions. Endless aisle is yet another kind of online selling and order fulfillment process that allows it to go a bit beyond the retailer stocking position. So right now, if you're a retailer, and where a lot of the times what I'm talking about tends to be a transaction that takes place on the brand website, endless aisle is one of those unique scenarios where it's a little bit different. That transaction is typically taking place on the retailer's website. And now, as a retailer, unless you're a big giant, how much can you do with your e-commerce site, right? You're really limited to your stocking positions there that you have within store, which can be very small. So yes, you can run Google ads for certain things and trying to drive traffic, but the cost per acquisition is extremely high. It's a difficult thing. For a lot of people, there's kind of limited profitability there. What we're trying to allow, which we're seeing, a great increase in that profitability, is to be able to do endless aisle. We're actually extending the brand's catalog. Like, we're basically making the retailer the merchant and the brand the fulfiller, right? So we can help, brands will allow you to extend their full or expanded catalog to you beyond what you might have in store. Show that on your website, right, as in stock with you and able to sell. When those purchases take place on your website, then we reverse route those back to the brand in real time, and the brand acts as a drop shipper. And so then the order takes place, you guys collect the money, you sell it online, right? But the brand then picks, packs, and ships that out directly, to your local consumer. So, it's one of many strategies, but we do have a number of brands that are using that, and that can be quite a profitable channel. And a lot of the brands really do enjoy that. I mean, it is a way to grow your e-commerce. Beyond that, we do have an app coming out that will enable that in-store as well. So right now, if you're a retailer, you're on Quivers, you can pull up the Quivers website and allow you to do it, but we'll have a native app that's allow you to do that even quicker, where if a consumer is in store and similarly, they want to buy a product, they don't have the 176s, with certain, 110 underfoot ski that they're looking for, right? You'll be able to pull up the app and place that order with the extended catalog. It'll immediately route there, right there in store. You tell the consumer, okay, order placed, and that will route out from the brand. So it's a lot like what the big boxes can do within their own corporate system. We're just expanding this outside of those big boxes in the corporate system to allow brands and independent specialty retail to do all the same powerful things. So it's like you might see, in a Lowe's or something like that, where you go in and they don't have the tool, so they purchase it in store for you, and it goes from one of their other stores in the East and comes out here to you. This is allowing the rest of the world to do this in a really powerful way and compete with some of those big organizations.
Great. Another question here, from your vantage point, how do you see everyday consumers reacting to inventory swings? And I see them buying faster. Right, I see the demand increasing. I see them, being impulse buying. I see them, buying almost anything that they can get that's similar as fast as possible, to fill that need, because they're nervous, right? They have anxiety that they won't be able to get it. Yeah.
That's what to that one, I agree. I think that we were already seeing a bit of a slip in brand loyalty. You might have a, 5-8-year customer, brand A, who's, diehard by that, but you give them a bad customer experience, a bad fulfillment. Our data has been showing that they will switch more. I think now with the lack of inventory, it's even more fluid. Like if the neighboring brand has, something in stock ready now, they might have a tendency to buy it. So I think, Yeah, making sure you're maximizing your inventory and getting accessible as possible, as you said, is really probably more important now more than ever.
We also have another question here. So if you don't have stock, how would you work with suppliers to get their custom cut orders on the digital forum? And there's a follow-up to that. For example, we manufacture, so we would be producing orders for retailers directly. Is there some way we could tailor NuORDER to meet clients' orders? Yes, the answer is yes. I mean, you can load all of your custom cut products onto the system, and then communicate with all of the retailers in custom line sheets or in a master line sheet. So whatever way you wish. So you can tailor a very specific visual presentation to an individual client and keep it private to them, or create something a little bit more catch-all and show it to everybody. But you can load all different types of product onto the system, and we have a visibility engine behind us that can help you hide products from certain individuals and expose it to others. So you can work with different segments of your business and target different segments and different customers in your business, with ease in one system. Ben, maybe you want to take this one. How does Quiver interact with NuORDER? Is it a difficult and expensive implementation process?
Oh, no, yeah, no, not at all. So we have a native integration with them now. So we have, an application that, it's actually pretty darn easy to set up. If you go within our, app partners marketplace within the Quiver's thing, it's pretty push button, right? Like you'll authorize, if you're a NuORDER user, you press the button, it'll ask for your credentials to authorize NuORDER. And then once the OAuth goes through, it connects up, and those platforms, speak to each other pretty natively these days. So I'm not an engineer, I could tell you more in depth there, but yeah, basically, so the way it works together then is, again, when an order is shown online, when a product is shown online and a customer would like to place an order, typically what will happen is if they're looking to do, buy online, pick up in store, and they go to the drop-down menu to see the retailers next to them, that retail list is going to be limited by, who has inventory at that particular store, right? So in this case, the B2B platform behind it, NuORDER, who has that connection as well, with us and with that retailer, we can go ahead and show that store as available for in-store pickup, right? It says ship from store, and it'll give you a time, estimated time for that to be ready in store, to be shipped there. And then that order is automatically placed, on behalf of the brand, on behalf of the retailer from the brand, and then NuORDER ships that product out to that retailer overnight for pickup.
Great. And Ben,
one thing I didn't address was pricing. So I do believe, again, I won't get into that too much here, but I think it is baked into a couple of the pricing tier that you've taken for each platform.
Great. And Ben, since you're our marketing expert on the call, maybe you want to take this one as well. So can you speak to the online offline strategy that a lot of companies are exploring? And to clarify, a lot of D2C customers are looking to establish retail presence, pros and cons.
I absolutely can speak to that. We've been researching and talking to customers for a couple of years now here at Quiver's doing this. It's been fascinating. I, for one, kind of before I got here, was a bit of an advocate. I thought D2C was growing and it was unstoppable. Talking to a lot of brands and retailers, we have this concept I kind of touched on again, and I talked more at a different time, but this idea of specialty, right? The specialty group. So if you're in winter or fashion or whatnot, you're not talking about commodities. You're talking about things that have a lot of R&D. There's a lot of product knowledge. There's a lot of sales knowledge involved in selling at the retail side. There's a lot of technical knowledge on the consumer side for using these products, right? So what we're seeing is for products within this specialty world, D2C is really not the end all be all. Like one anecdote, we actually had a major winter sports manufacturer that I won't name who actually moved away from doing some of this DOF and was not distributing through local retail. They were trying to, sell online and fulfill everything through their own corporate warehouse and just do pure D2C. They came back to us the next year and frankly just basically said it was a disaster, right? For many reasons I want to belabor here, but essentially, one, it puts a lot of stress on your own internal fulfillment network. You just to do all those onesie twosies, right, to the consumers and get that right and get the consumer experience right. And the minute you start fulfilling poorly and eroding that consumer experience, you're in big trouble, right? They also found what to be true, we've been tracking and show these stats on, there's a ton of consumer demand for in-store experiences and for fulfillment there where they want to get their hands on the product, but it's later in the shopping experience. So they were having situations where like people were buying multiple, say like ski boots, right, online, having to ship 4 pairs of these ski boots out across the country to a consumer. Consumers were doing it like they're trying on shoes, trying a bunch of shoes and then sending a bunch of them back. So the shipping costs were outrageous. The whole process doesn't work. There's certain products that really are meant to be, fulfilled in store, but the consumer desire to purchase online is really high. They really trust these brands because they're these specialty consumers. If you're a novice and you're in the market for a ski, you might go to like Amazon or General or REI looking for a ski. If you're a knowledgeable specialty consumer of skis, you tend to have brand affinity and you go to k2skis.com, you go to technica.com, you go, to the brand website first. We're seeing this more and more. So it's really this a catch-22 between the fact that the purchase needs to happen there, but the fulfillment needs to happen offline. That's really why that strategy that we're promoting, that online-offline connection, is because it's real. It's because it's what the consumers want. So it's kind of just a fact of the world and the marketplace we live within now.
Right. Let me see here. There's also a question here that talks about, how the consumer's impulse buying is impacting liquidity and financing within a B2B. Are people paying later, sooner to secure stock? And I think they're paying immediately with credit card. We're seeing a lot of that. So NuORDER is a payment processor. We can help streamline that checkout experience, and we're seeing that be utilized every day more and more because it allows the retailer to finalize the sale immediately, pay for it, and then it can be fulfilled and shipped as fast as possible. So I think that's also crucial. Right. Oh, you got a thanks, Ben, on here.
You're welcome.
Great. I think that's it for questions right now.
I should question to you, because that executive that came back to us saying D2C wasn't the holy grail also quite vocally endorsed ship to store. So for the retailers out there and the brands who are questioning this, this was someone who did a pretty hardcore experiment on this. And their takeaway was that a lot of their online orders, right, a lot of the online selling they would do within their category, he was expecting 80 to 90% of it. I believe it was somewhere between 70 and 90% of it to be shipped to store in the future, that it would actually be selling things beyond the stocking positions of those retailers and shipping them out there for local fulfillment. They're finding a lot of traction in the market and talking to the retailers and doing consumer research. And he's basically was forecasting that would be a major strategy for his next 1, 3, 5, 10-year commerce plan.
Great. And there are other questions here too. So, what is the cost of your program? And I think, Ben, I'll let you answer that for you, but for NuORDER, this depends on your needs, right? We customize that according to what you need and work with you there for sure. And as far as, there's also a question here on the retailer side, budgets for them to do business on NuORDER. The retailers are free, right? They log in, they have their own accounts. And there's a significant network effect, right, that's taking place here because we have so many brands on the system in so many different categories that's bringing their entire retailer base online. But know that you do have access to all of that. That is free. Yes, and then as far as your own brand contract, all of that's fit to how you're going to need and use the system.
Yeah, on our end, please reach out to me individually. We can always send you pricing information. I'll tell you the model is we've got a bit of a mix between SaaS and transaction. So for the retailers, again, it's basically free till you make money. So again, on the fulfillment side, if orders are placed online for stock that retailers are holding or that they're going to fulfill on, right? If it gets shipped from store and it gets fulfilled in store, it's basically a transactional model. So when you then sell that product, right, and collect money from that product, we take a small transaction fee for that, right? So we don't charge you for anything upfront to use the software, et cetera. The software is essentially free. The service is essentially free. It's just a transaction. So on the volume, right? So as you do a bunch of sales, when you're fulfilling a bunch of sales that took place online and that money comes in, we take a transaction fee. On the brand side, it's a little bit of both. We have packages that we can work out where there is a SaaS a platform fee for various tools and what you want to use. And then the, additional fees kind of depends on the volume you're doing, et cetera. And I will point out that we do have tiers. So the more volume you do, the more discount on our transaction fee does, so if you come in and you're doing a little bit of, order fulfillment, that's kind of one fee. And then the more you do, if you can forecast and say, I'm going to do this much or this much or this much, there is a diminishing transaction fee and you can take more of the margin yourself.
Great. Okay, perfect. So that seems to have wrapped up the questions here. If anybody digests this later and you have more that you'd love to know about, you feel like your question wasn't fully answered, you'd like to talk one-on-one with us, we're more than happy to do that. Go ahead and reach out to marketing@NuORDER.com. And we can talk about any of this further with you. But yes, so thanks everybody for joining. Enjoy the holidays, Ben.
Yeah. Have a good holiday, everybody. Again, you can reach us at marketingquivers.com or info@quivers.com, or you can reach out to me directly. My email's floating around out there.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Appreciate it, everyone.